Good morning. Now, before we take a single step into method or promise, let us tell the truth about this very moment. A notification flashes. A headline shouts. There is a tiny spike in the solar plexus, an almost electric twinge in the nerves, and the thumb, it moves as if it had a will of its own. Swipe. Another headline. Another little fear. Another opinion to measure, to resist, to applaud, to dread. And if you listen very carefully, you will find that the bow has already been made. You have bowed ever so slightly to a feed that pretends to authorize your peace or to revoke it. That is the reflex. You don't plan it. It leaps and you follow. Now, we are not going to scold the thumb. We are not going to make an enemy of the device or the newspaper or the neighbor who forwards too many links. No, we are going to interrupt not with force, not with self-condemnation, but with a deliberate pause that changes the atmosphere within us. Be still and know that I am God. In this work, the stillness is not passive. It is the most decisive shift you can make. And in that stillness, we introduce a living password. If you will take it now, right where you are, under your breath or silently within, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Again, slower this time, not as a magic charm, but as a doorway you step through. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. What is the promise in that? It is not that the headline will go away, or that the actor on the world stage will suddenly behave better because you prayed. We are not, from this hour, going to try to fix the news. Hear that well. We are not going to do anything to it. We are going to bring to it the realization of God's presence. And when that is attained, liberty will be found there. If you say yes, but don't we have to be informed? Of course, you can be in it, but you are not of it. Your peace is no longer leased from the market of opinions. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. So right here, with me, practice the refusal to fix the world. That doesn't mean indifference. It means reverence. It means you are through with kneeling before appearances and ready to stand within presence. I am asking you to make this a living experiment. Throughout these talks, we will not tinker with your settings. We will awaken your center. We are going to walk together from reflex to realization. And before we are done, I shall invite you into a 24-hour password. Fast the day when every fear-provoking item on your screen receives only one response. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, until you feel the soft return of presence. And only then are you permitted to proceed. But that is ahead. For now, we begin with one pause, one password, and one promise. And I speak to you not as a theorist. I have paid for this ground. I know what it is to have a life rearranged by a change of consciousness, to lose the appetite for what once excited me, to watch companions drift away because I could not follow them back into the quick talk and the louder laughter that tried to drown a thin anxiety. There were days I held the phone like a talisman and woke in the night to check if the world still burned. And then I learned, as surely as I learned to breathe, that liberty does not come by managing the flames. All of this was brought about not by any other change than a change of consciousness. I still lived, but not in the same atmosphere. And because I had touched that other air, I could no longer pretend that panic was necessary to be a responsible soul. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That word is not a syllable in a book. It is the living presence pressing upon you now. Our password is not a superstition. It is a shibboleth that admits you to the inner country where the Spirit is actually felt. When you say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You are not bargaining with the universe. You are crossing a threshold within, and oh, you must mean it. When you say, I am not trying to fix the world, you have to mean it. Do not let your concern be for the improvement of conditions. Do not let your concern be for getting the right leader elected or the right narrative upheld. Let your concern be that you feel, even if just a whisper, the surging of the Spirit within you. Because when that is there, it interprets the news for you. It decides your speech and your step. It tempers your share and your silence. So here is our beginning. The next headline that rises, do not rush to meet it with your history. Do not let the thumb preach you a sermon about danger. Stop one breath, one password. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And if you should say, but what about those who suffer? I say, do not insult them by adding one more unit of fear to the pile. Bring presence. Bring the realization that thou couldst have no power over me except it were given thee from above. Bring the atmosphere in which mercy is natural, guidance is gentle, and action, if action is required, arises from peace, not panic. From this point on, every session will build on this. We will name the hypnosis that makes the feed look like law. We will refuse its authority without denying the world. We will practice tiny pauses until they weave a new habit. And we will, when ready, enter that 24-hour fast in which the password becomes breath itself. But today, start where freedom always starts. The moment the headline meets the password and you refuse to fix the world, in that margin so small you can miss it, you will find the kingdom already at hand, and you will discover that liberty does not begin when the last crisis is solved. Liberty begins where the Spirit is, and the Spirit is here. Thank you. Now let us be very honest and very simple, because if we do not name the thing for what it is, we will keep looking in the wrong place for our medicine. Doomscrolling, this relentless, anxious grazing of headlines and feeds, is not your weakness, nor is it a defect of your phone. It is the world mind, a mass mesmeric sense that binds thought to fear, to outrage, to the old dual slavery of body and money, and then whispers, this is you, this is your urgency, this is your safety. And I am here to say to you, no. This is not you. This is hypnotism. It is not law. It is not power. It is a claim to power, a show without substance, an arm of flesh. When I say world mind, I do not mean some intelligent devil out there plotting your downfall. I mean a collective fog, the sum of beliefs that humanity has agreed to without ever consulting God. In other words, a dream in which everybody nods together and says, yes, of course, the body is to be feared, money is to be worshipped, tribes are to be defended, enemies are to be hated, and headlines are to be swallowed whole. And because most agree, it feels like law, it sounds like law, it acts like law, until you ask quietly, who said so? Do you remember the question in Genesis? Who told thee that thou wast naked? There is the whole metaphysic in one sentence. Who told you that you were endangered by a screen? Who told you that a push alert owned the strings of your heart? Who told you that if you do not refresh the feed, you will be irresponsible? World mind told you. And world mind has no statute behind it. This is not new. Do not be fooled, because it is glowing in your hand and arrives at the speed of light. It wore other costumes before. It wore the uniform. of wartime propaganda posters that made angels out of our side and monsters out of theirs. Atrocity tales repeated until they were taken as gospel, not because they were true, but because they served the purpose. It slipped into movie houses as subliminal frames. A popcorn flashed for a fraction of a second to stir a thirst that felt like yours but was not. And now it wears push alerts and algorithmic curation. And it pretends it is neutral. And it says, I am only showing you what you want. But it taught you what to want and then packaged it for you. Be not conformed to this world, the apostle said, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, not by the rearranging of your apps, but by the renewing of your mind. Now, before we go any further, I want to lift from you, once for all, the sack of guilt you have been carrying about this. This is not your moral failure. You have not broken some divine commandment by finding yourself anxious with a device in your hand. Behind every human bondage is hypnotism, and the only sin in it is ignorance. The Master said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You cannot truly forgive yourself or anyone else until you acknowledge the world mind claimed a law it does not possess, and we believed. That is all. So do not go back into the swamp of self-condemnation. That, too, is part of the trance. Here is the test I want you to practice in your thought. When a headline shouts doom, ask, what law is behind this noise? If 2 times 2 equals 5 appears on the blackboard in large, menacing letters, what law is behind it? None. It may disturb the pupils. It may even dominate the conversation. But the mathematics of the universe is not moved 1 hair's breadth. No legislature has ever passed a bill making 2 times 2 equal 5. There is no statute, no principle, no God behind it. It is an error without law. So it is with the fear stories that pour through the feed. They have noise, they have circulation, they do not have governing principle. And because they do not have law, they do not have mandate over your consciousness unless you donate it. Someone will say, but these things are happening in the world. Yes, friend, yes. And there were storms on Galilee too. The point is not to deny the weather. The point is to find the one who sleeps in the boat until you awaken him. Peace, be still, is not an argument with the wind. It is the revelation of presence in the midst of it. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Keep that it is our password. It is the standard raised in your consciousness against the flood. Not liberty from the existence of headlines, but liberty from their authority over you. Liberty in the awareness, in the felt knowing that God is the law unto his own universe. Now this agitation that seems to rise when you scroll does not belong to you. Do not adopt it. It belongs to hypnotized sense. You are the one watching it. You are the one who can pause and see. You are the one in whom the capacity to say no lives. That is you, the witness, the transparency, the instrument through which God's presence is realized. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Let the feed stand there and speak. It has no power given it from above to disturb your peace. If it disturbs, it is only because a forgotten agreement inside said, this is my life. This is my safety. This is my meaning. Withdraw the agreement, and the disturbance falls of its own weight. Please understand, we are not going to fight the phone, nor run from the world, nor invent a monastic virtue out of unplugging. The device is metal and glass. The stream of headlines is a river of human opinions. None of that is enemy. Enemy is the belief that there is a second power a second law, a second source of life besides God. The instant you accept two powers, you are already tired, already afraid, already tempted to manage and control. But when you remind yourself quietly, repeatedly, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You are not fixing anything. You are revealing the only law there ever was. And in that revelation, the grip of world mind loosens, not because you have imposed your will upon it, but because, like 2 times 2 equals 5, it never had a statute to enforce. You can be in it, but not of it. Hold that. You can remain in the stream of information and yet not let it define you, alarm you, authorize you. You can read with the eyes of spirit, not the nerves of the body. You can witness events and not install them as your identity. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Your life is hid with Christ in God, not hidden in an offline setting, not hidden in a fortress of ignorance, but hid with Christ in God, right where the phone is, right where the headline is. And there, in that realization, doomscrolling is unmasked as what it is: a suggestion, a trance, a claim without law. The problem is not you or your phone. The problem is the belief that noise is law. And that belief, once seen, begins to dissolve in the light of presence. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Keep it before you. Keep it within you. And watch how the world's drumbeat loses its spell when you no longer march to it. Now let us come to the one thing, the only thing, that you and I have to do from this hour forward. You have no demonstration to make except one, the realization of the presence of God. If you can take that, not as a pretty sentence, but as the law and the prophets of your practice, you will be spared a lifetime of tinkering with shadows. We are not going to adjust algorithms. We are not going to balance headlines like a set of scales. We are not going to coach the market to behave or coax the body to perform. Hear me. We are not going to try to do anything to any of it. All we are going to do is bring to it the realization of God's presence. When that is attained, liberty will be found there, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. How do I dare say such a thing in the face of so much on the screen? Because, in other words, I learned that the screen is not the locus of liberty. It is a mirror, sometimes a carnival mirror, sometimes a stained glass window, but never the source. My peace I give unto you, the Master said. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. If the peace you crave must come by the world's giving, by the world correcting, applauding, surrendering, then you have already sold yourself cheaply. But if your peace comes as presence given of God, it discloses itself right in the midst of the world's din, and it is not contingent upon any feed's repentance. That is what we are after. Not the improved mirror, but the realized light. Now, someone says, but if we do nothing to the headlines, won't they run wild? Do not be fooled by that. 2 times 2 is 4, and if someone writes 5 on the board, you don't have to pass a law against 5. There is no law to sustain 5. You bring the light of 4, and 5 evaporates as an error. In this work, panic, sensationalism, contagion, they are numbers without law. There is no power but of God, Paul reminds us. We are not denying appearances. We are denying that appearances are law. We are not silent because we are cowards. We are silent because we are listening for the law of spirit that once felt decides whether we speak or we keep still. And then even the speech is different. The silence is different. because the atmosphere is different. This is not theory to me. There was a time when I fed myself on the small excitements, yes, the conversations that sat on the edge of anxiety, the entertainments that had to grow louder every season because the heart was growing duller. And then, without a campaign, without a vow, the taste disappeared. I still lived, but not in the same atmosphere. The invitations came. They were not wrong. I was not superior. But something in me could not go back. All of this was brought about not by any other change than a change of consciousness. And I tell you frankly, the same is true here. You will not be rid of doom scrolling by becoming a more skillful scroller. You will be rid of the appetite by acquiring another appetite. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. When you have tasted presence, your hunger alters, and then the old food does not satisfy. The thumb may twitch. The soul will not follow. Do not let your concern be for how much time you spend online. Do not let your concern be for curating perfect sources or for achieving a righteous ratio of good news to bad. Let your concern be that before you move, you feel, even faintly, that inward stirring, what I call the surge of spirit. Let your concern be for the one demonstration, because when that is present, the rest reorders without you meddling. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not chased. Added, not engineered. If you try to add the things first, you will add worry upon worry, and you will call it being informed. If you seek the kingdom first, sometimes the thing added is a wise word to a neighbor. Sometimes it is a restraint that saves you a quarrel. Sometimes it is an action, yes, but it is action without the gritty strain of self-authorship. In it, but not of it. Take that seriously. Stay in your profession. Read the necessary briefings. Pay your bills. Love your family. You can be in it, deeply in it, and yet not of it, because you are not breathing the same air as the world mind. You have another atmosphere. This is what I mean by presence as climate. You are no longer receiving your oxygen from the approval, the trend line, the braking alert. Your oxygen is God. In him we live and move and have our being. Then what changes? Not the fact that a siren sounds in the distance. What changes is that you do not confuse the siren with law, not the existence of the headline. What changes is your unwillingness to let the headline appoint you as savior or as victim. You remain. The world remains, but you are not of it. Now practice with me in the smallest laboratory. The phone vibrates. Before you look, pause, not to say a charm, but to step through the doorway. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Feel for it. If it is only a whisper, honor the whisper. Then look. If it says that the market is shedding points, refuse the instinct to push an emergency button within. We are not going to do anything to it. Bring presence to it. If a symptom mutters in the body, refuse to bargain with it. We are not going to do anything to it. Bring presence to it. If a controversy flares in your family chat, do not rush to fix the people. Bring presence to them. And you will see, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, that the situation is met not by manipulation, but by a wisdom that was not in your intellect 2 minutes earlier. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, and in that peace, guidance is ordinary. But you must mean it. When you say, I am not trying to get well, you have to mean it. Sick or well, I choose God. When you say, I am not trying to make the feed behave, you have to mean it. Calm or chaotic, I choose God. Do not look for gratitude because the algorithm favored you today. Give up gratitude for the smoother day, for the nicer chart, for the praise in the comments. Be grateful for God alone. That is integrity. That is the end of metaphysical self-deception, where we pretend to seek spirit while peeking to see if the needle move. Let the needle be. Seek the presence. When it is there is liberty, not as the world giveth, but inherent, self-evident, like the sun that requires no testimonial. And then, perhaps to your surprise, you will find that you are still reading, still working, still walking through the same city, yet you are no longer hired by its fear or fired by its fury. The same street, the same neighbors, the same notifications, and yet not the same atmosphere. You will know that the kingdom has come near because you will stop asking the world to be different before you can be faithful. You will be faithful, and the world will take its shape around that faithfulness as it must. The Spirit is present. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Take this as your core revelation and your quiet vow. One demonstration only, the realization of God's presence. Everything else you thought you wanted is hidden in that one thing, and it will be added without your hands upon the scale. Now, I want you to take this very simply, very practically, because unless it becomes a living act in you, it will remain a lovely sentence stuck to the refrigerator door. The password, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, is not a slogan, not a charm, not a sound you throw at the feed to make it nicer. It is a shibboleth, a password. And I mean that literally. A word by which you pass. Do you remember that old story of men at a river ford who could only cross if their speech revealed their origin? In like manner, this word reveals whether you are crossing from the atmosphere of world mind into the sanctuary of presence. When spoken as bargain or technique, it leaves you where you stood. When spoken as surrender and trust, it opens a door within. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise, not into the gates of an improved news cycle, but into the courts of felt God. How do you use it? In the instant of fear, right there where the thumb is twitching, where the chest tightens, where the old reflex says, hurry, see, fix. Say it inwardly, not as if you were scolding the world, but as if you were remembering home. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then be still. Do not rush to look. Do not rush to say it again louder, as if volume could pry heaven open. Be still and know that I am God. Be still until you feel some inner quickening. Sometimes it is a softness in the breath, sometimes a widening at the back of the head, sometimes only the faintest letting down of the shoulders. If all you can feel is the barest whisper, honor the whisper. The point is not to conquer the headline by repetition. The point is to re-enter the climate where headlines cannot hire or fire your peace. Please understand this function clearly, because if you miss it, you will misuse the tool and then complain that it does not work. The phrase does not fix the story. It ushers you into realized presence. It is a doorway, not a wrench. When you step through it, sometimes conditions do change. Articles are updated. Storms pass. Tempers cool, but those are incidental. We are not setting the password to work on the world. We are allowing it to bring us under the government of spirit. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The peace that is given of God arrives before and beyond any alteration out there. It is the law behind appearances, not an argument with them. Now here is where spiritual integrity must be brought to bear. Do not, under any circumstance, add conditions to your use of the password. Do not say within yourself, I will abide in this until the feed calms down, or I will wait here if only this one matter resolves. That is bargaining. That is tempting God. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. When you say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, you have to mean sick or well, fearful story or hopeful story. I choose the presence. You must be willing that the article remain exactly as it is, that the trend line continue its slope, that the neighbor continue his noise, while you abide until the climate shifts within. If you fasten your eye upon outcome, you will miss the only demonstration we have to make, felt God. What is the sign that you have crossed the threshold? Here is the test. The sign is a felt peace, not a changed article. The sign is the cessation of that inward push to do something because you are afraid. The sign is a quietness that does not depend on good news. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. You may still choose to read. You may still choose to speak. You may still be led to act, but the author of that action is not panic. You will know by the aftertaste. Action born of fear leaves grit on the tongue. Action born of presence is clean. If you look up and find that nothing external has altered, but your breath has deepened and the need to claw at the screen has vanished, give thanks quietly, not for the screen, but for God. Give up gratitude for nicer headlines. Be grateful for presence alone. Let me tell you a little picture that may help. A young woman, we will call her Mara, wrote that her mornings had become a sprint through dread. She would wake, reach, and fall. One day, she tried the password as doorway. The notification came. She said within, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then she set the phone face down and waited. 30 seconds, 90. She felt silly. Then she noticed something, not dramatic, a small loosening in the throat, a sense that her feet were on the floor and not halfway to the next catastrophe. She picked up the phone. Same headline, same numbers. But when her partner walked into the kitchen and asked, "Did you see?" she did not spill fear into the room. She said, "Yes, I saw. Let us be wise today." And the day took its tone from there. Nothing magical, just another atmosphere. That is the work. At first, this will feel wooden. Do not let that discourage you. A door feels like a wall until you find the handle. Say the word, not to pound on the world, but to locate the handle within. If the quickening does not come at once, do not accuse God or yourself. Tarried prayer is not failed prayer. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Wait does not mean hours of strain. It means a sincere pause that refuses to proceed on the fuel of fear. It may be 1 breath today, 3 tomorrow, a minute next week. What matters is that you learn to recognize the atmosphere of presence and to refuse to be hustled out of it by the world's drumbeat. So take it now as your secret between you and God. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let it be your shibboleth, your crossing word. Use it not to coerce the river, but to cross it. Use it not to polish appearances, but to enter the sanctuary. And when the felt peace has come even as a flicker, then, and only then, you are authorized to move, not by feed's permission, not by fear's prod, but by Spirit's quiet go-ahead. In that order, liberty ceases to be an event and becomes your climate. Now let us make this very simple and very exact, down to minutes and breaths, because unless you can carry it into the moment of the scroll, you will admire it and then lose it. We are going to build micro-liturgies, tiny obediences, in which presence is privileged over reflex. 3 times a day, at least, morning, midday, evening, sit in quietness. 3 to 5 minutes is enough to begin, or until you feel the inner surge of spirit. Do not time God with your watch. Time your sitting by the sign within. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Wait does not mean strain. It means that you refuse to proceed on the fuel of fear. Sit with feet on the floor, spine free, hands open, eyes softly rested, not clamped shut, not hunting for visions, just a softened gaze as if you were looking from behind your eyes. Place the device face down or in another room. Let the breath return to a gentle rhythm. Whisper inwardly, be still, and know that I am God. Then speak the password as you would speak to your own heart. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Now, do not work the sentence. Let it work you. Be still until you feel that slight quickening, shoulders easing, breath deepening, the faintest widening at the back of the head, a warmth, a tenderness, a clean, quiet. When that appears, even as a flicker, sit 1 breath more in gratitude for God, nothing else, and rise. Between those sittings comes the place where the rubber meets the road, the on-scroll ritual. It is not elaborate. Headline, pause, password, silence. Then only, if peace has registered, proceed. In other words, do not let your thumb outrun your spirit. The device vibrates. Do not pounce. Soften the gaze. Let the eyes unhook from the narrow tunnel. Exhale gently, as if setting a small cup back onto its saucer. Place the phone down for a moment. Feel your feet where they are. Notice the breath that God is breathing as you say within, not loudly, not bargaining. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Then silence. No comment. No share. No mental memo to argue later. Silence until you can feel the inward press to react, release its grip. If peace does not come at once, wait 1 more breath or 3. If it still does not come, step away for 1 minute, drink water, look out a window, and then return and repeat. We are not going to try to do anything to the headline. All we are going to do is bring to it the realization of God's presence. When that is attained, liberty will be found there, because my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Now, I know the temptation in this age is to rearrange the furniture, to curate sources, to delete apps, to apply 27 filters, to make the outer world safe for your nerves. Do not let your concern be for that in this first season. Curate nothing, delete nothing. Train consciousness first. If you cut away the symptom without touching the hypnotism, you will only grow another symptom. When presence becomes your climate, you may find yourself quietly uninstalling something, or subscribing to a calmer stream, or setting a boundary without drama. Let those outer shifts come unforced as fruit, not as willpower pruning. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not engineered. Give yourself small bells to call you back. Before you unlock the phone in the morning, pause at the threshold of your day, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Before a meal, one breath with the password, not for the food's sake alone, but for the atmosphere at the table. Before sending a message you suspect is edged with fear, pause and let the tongue rest against the roof of the mouth. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. When you reach for your pocket and feel the device, take that as a sacrament bill. One breath, one remembering. Pray without ceasing is not an order to recite verbs all day. It is a call to live in the climate of presence, touched again and again by these micro-liturgies until the climate holds on its own. You must understand this, and you must mean it. The completion marker is not that the news has turned pleasant, nor that your opinion has found agreement. The completion marker is that you can say, honestly, I am in the world, but not of its fright. If you cannot say that, you are not yet authorized. Wait one more breath. If the soup is on the stove, yes, take it off the burner. Spirit does not ask you to scorch dinner, but let even that movement be made without panic. You will find, as you practice, that the pause grows supple. It does not delay action. It seasons it. It is a difference between a word spoken from alarm and a word given. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed does not mean stuck. It means steadied. Do not let your concern be for length. Let your concern be for reality. 3 minutes of real waiting is worth more than 30 of anxious recitation. Do not let your concern be for eloquence. Let your concern be for surrender. If you catch yourself saying the password with one eye squinting to see if the graph has turned, stop. Confess the bargaining, smile at yourself, and begin again. Give up gratitude for improved headlines. Be grateful for God alone. That integrity shifts the root, and then the branches behave without your policing. There is one more small thing, and it makes a great difference. Keep the body soft while you practice. The world mind tightens the jaw, narrows the eyes, shortens the breath, folds the chest. Reverse it gently, not as a technique to make peace happen, but as a cooperation with the peace already given. Soften the jaw. Let the eyes take in the edges of the room. Let the breath be kind. Let the shoulders drop a half inch. The body is not you, yet it is an instrument. And when the instrument is not straining, the music is clearer. In him we live and move and have our being. Let the movement be in him, even while your thumb scrolls. Do this for 7 days and notice not the news, but the atmosphere. Notice that the impulse to hurl yourself into the stream grows weaker, that the need to be the town crier grows quieter, that a wisdom not your own begins to whisper, now, not yet, speak, keep still. That is the sign that the micro-liturgies are doing their holy work. They are privileging presence over reflex. And in that order, you will prove our password true again and again. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Proceed only from that liberty. Resume only when you can say, with a clear heart, I am in the world, but not of its fright. Then the finger may move, but it will not lead you. It will follow. Now, let us make this very plain and very doable, because until you embody a word in time and space, it remains an idea, and ideas do not save you. Presence saves you. For 1 day, 24 hours, not a lifetime, not a vow to enter a cave, let us fast, not from food, not from work, not from the ordinary duties of your home, but from reaction. We will call it the 24-hour password fast. From the moment you begin until the hour you close, every fear headline, every anxious notification, Every snippet that tugs the nerves will meet one response only. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You will not add a quick opinion. You will not forward. You will not search for corroboration. You will not argue with a relative's post. You will not soothe yourself with 10 explainers. For this one day, your only answer is the password and the felt return to presence. That is all. Be still and know that I am God. Be still first. Know first. Then, and only then, if you are moved from peace, act. You must set it up because, in other words, we are dealing with hypnotism, and hypnotism loves surprise. It loves to catch you between breaths. So put the reminders where the surprise would normally strike. Put the password on your lock screen, right there where the thumb lands. Let it meet. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Place a small note on your laptop, perhaps even where the camera eye looks back at you, so that when the feed opens, your eye falls first upon the shibboleth. You are not creating a charm. You are building a doorway you cannot miss. And, if you like, put a quiet slip in your wallet or by the kettle. These are not superstitions. These are gates. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving. The thanksgiving is that the gate exists at all. Choose your start top of the hour or at sunrise tomorrow, but choose and say within yourself, I mean this. When you say, I am not going to fix the feed today, you have to mean it. When you say, I am seeking one demonstration only, you have to mean it. For 24 hours, abstain from reactive speech, abstain from the share that is really a shove, abstain from the search that is really a rehearsal of fear. You will still read what your duty requires. You will still answer necessary messages. You will be in it, but not of it, because you will not let it authorize your tone. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Now, I want you to log grace, not gossip. Keep a small tally on paper, in a notes app, on the back of an envelope. Each time you pause and speak the password and wait even for one breath, make a mark. If you must write a word, let it be only of the inner weather, whisper, warm, surge, or even still waiting. Do not note the content of the headline. Do not rate the news day. We are not keeping score on the world. We are witnessing the appearance of presence. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Your mind is stayed not by quantity of pauses, but by sincerity in each one. But tallying will show you that grace visited more often than you think. And because two are better than one, and where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Make a simple pact with one friend. Invite them to join you for the same day, or for any rolling 24 hours that you agree upon. Establish beforehand that your only check-in will be a single word, liberty, not commentary on the news, not did you see, not analysis. One word, liberty. Send it perhaps at noon and at evening. That word will not be a password to make the world nicer. It will be a banner to remind you both of the atmosphere you are choosing. The Hebrews rallied to a banner in the wilderness. Let this be that. No debate. No managing of each other's courage. Only the witness. Liberty. Now the emergency clause, because someone will say, but what if the panic spikes? Then you stop. Full stop. You do not consume another syllable. You close the application, you set the device down, you sit. You do not count the minutes, you wait for presence. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Wait does not mean strain. It means refuse to proceed on the fuel of fear. If the breath is tight, breathe softly and say within, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Be still until you feel the smallest quickening, the drop of the shoulders, the loosened jaw, the sense that someone besides you is present and governing. Only then do you return, and even then, you do not return by compulsion. You check as you would check the wind before you leave the harbor. If the peace abides, proceed. If not, remain. You are learning to be governed from within, and that is the whole secret. There will be misses. At 9:30, you will find that you already sent a hot message. At 2, you will open a thread that you knew and I knew would not bless you. Do not condemn yourself. That too is world mind trying to turn practice into law and failure into identity. Simply step back through the doorway. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you that one lapse nullifies love? We are not transacting with a grudge-holding deity. We are training the attention to recognize its home. The very next moment, you can be still and know. You may discover, before the day is done, that speech itself changes. You will write an email from quiet that you would have written from heat. You will answer a child's question without exporting dread into their small atmosphere. You will read an alarming line and hear within, notwithstanding. And you will do the next wise thing instead of the next loud thing. Do not, I beg you, chalk that up as gratitude for nicer outcomes. Give up gratitude for a smoother scroll. Be grateful for God alone. The sign of success in this fast is not a calm news day. It is the invisibly altered author of your responses. Man shall not live by bread alone, by the feet alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That inner proceeding will become audible to you. Close the day as you began it in stillness. Look over your tally marks, not to boast or to mourn, but to see the pattern of grace. Ask nothing of tomorrow's headlines. Offer the whole 24 hours back to God, saying, I did not try to make the world behave. I sought your presence. If you tasted even a whisper of liberty, know that the promise stands not for a day, but for a life. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And this little fast is not an achievement you have earned. It is a crack in the shell through which the light of another atmosphere has begun to pour. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Keep it for one day. In it, but not of it. And governed at last from within. Now, before we go any farther, we must come to the place of honesty. Because without spiritual integrity, everything we have said becomes another trick to get a nicer day. And that is not our way. You must see, and I must say it plainly, that most of us come to this work with a bargain hidden under the prayer. We say, I want God, but we mean, I want a calmer mind, better sleep, improved productivity, the feeling of being well informed without being drowned. Those are outcomes. They are not God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. If I come to the altar for calm, calm has become my God. If I use the password to tuck me in at night, sleep has been enthroned. Do not let your concern be for calmer nerves, for sharper focus, for the applause that comes when people say you are so balanced. Let your concern be that even if the feed screams and your schedule bulges and the night goes light with wakefulness, you can feel that surging of the Spirit within you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world giveth. Not on the condition that your apps behave. So we make a vow, and when we make it, we have to mean it, not loudly, not theatrically, quietly and with the steel of truth. I am not trying to get calm or informed. I am seeking presence alone, sick or well, trending or ignored. Say it until it is true, and then keep saying it. I am not trying to be a better version of my worried self. I am not trying to optimize my scroll or tidy my attention for the sake of better output. I am seeking one demonstration, only the realization of the presence of God. If, in the wake of that, I sleep, I thank God. If I do not sleep, I thank God. Because the object of my life is not the body's comfort, but the soul's awareness. If, in that climate, the to-do list sorts itself, I thank God. If it overruns, I thank God. Because I am, in other words, taking off the harness with which I have been pulling on the world and stepping into the yoke that is easy and the burden that is light. I know how this sounds to the bargaining mind, but isn't calm a good thing? Isn't sleep necessary? Isn't being informed my duty as a citizen? Good, necessary, dutiful. They may all be true at a certain level. But man shall not live by bread alone, by the feed alone, by the pillow alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. We are not denigrating calm. We are dethroning it. We are not scorning information. We are removing its scepter. We are returning government to where it belongs. The government shall be upon his shoulder. And when government returns to inner presence, the outer often arranges itself. But we must not put the cart before the horse and then call it God. Give up gratitude for results. That is a hard sentence, and it will catch in the throat, but you must swallow it. Give up gratitude for fewer hours online, for a friend remarking, "You seem so peaceful," for the algorithm favoring your gentle posts, for the mood that feels kinder at 4 p.m. Give up gratitude for those results. Be grateful for God alone. If you must say thank you, say thank you for presence. Thank you that I could feel the inward stillness in the midst of noise. Thank you that I am not being driven by fear, even while fear parades in headlines. That gratitude is clean. It does not make an idol of effects. The moment you attach your praise to effects, you will begin beneath your prayer to maneuver for them. And then the old hunger takes its throne again, and the hypnotism has a handle to seize. Here is the reason, very simple, very exact, why this integrity matters. Hypnotism feeds on appetite. The world mind has no law. It has bait. It flashes. Be first. Be safe. Be right. Be praised. And the hook it uses is your own wanting. Remove the wanting and the hook cannot hold. If a fish is not hungry, the bait passes its lips without power. If the magnet finds no iron in you, it cannot draw. If 2 times 2 equals 5 is written in letters 10 feet high, it has no authority until there is in you an appetite that needs it to be true, an appetite to fear, to belong, to win, to be soothed. Thou couldst have no power over me, except it were given thee from above. When you relinquish outcome and want God alone, you deny the world mind the only thing it ever had, your consent to be hooked. So we set a test, not to impress God. God is not grading, but to expose our own motive to ourselves. If nothing out there improves, will you keep the password? If the feed grows shriller, if your sleep is not kinder this week, if your boss remains brusque, if your productivity graph refuses to do its little upward dance, if your thoughtful post is ignored while the spicy one explodes, will you keep the password? If yes, you mean it. If no, you have discovered your hidden God and you may now lay it on the altar. No shame, simply truth. You can say, I have been seeking calm. I have been seeking applause. I have been seeking to feel in control. And now I give them up. Not my will, but thine be done. That is not a sigh of defeat. That is the opening of a door that no man can shut. In my own walk, I had to come to this. And I did not come gracefully. I said, I am not trying to get well. And then I watched myself react when the symptom did not move. I said, I only want God. And then I found myself bargaining under my breath. None of us mean it at first. We mean relief. But when, at last, we say it and mean it, sick or well, rich or poor, trending or ignored, praised or misunderstood, the atmosphere shifts. I still lived, but not in the same atmosphere. They could not follow me in there. Neither could I go back. Why? Because liberty had ceased to be a prize handed out for good behavior. It had become the nature of presence realized. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not where the metrics smile. Not where the pillow cooperates. Where the Spirit is known. Therefore, let your vow be simple and exact. Today, I am not trying to get calm or informed. I am seeking presence alone. I will use the password without adding a bargain. I will be grateful for God alone. I will let results be results. If they come, I will not pet them. If they do not, I will not pout. I will remember that the hypnotism cannot live where I have no appetite for it. I will remember that seek ye first the kingdom of God is not a motto, but a law of being, and that all these things are added as incidentals to a life already anchored. And if, in the middle of this vow, you hear the little voice say, but surely God wants me to be calm, answer it with scripture, not with argument. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as your nervous system demands, not as your planner requires. Peace as presence, not as outcome. Set your affection on things above, not on the seesaw of today's reports. Then, and only then, will you find that liberty appears where results once tyrannized, not because you achieved it, but because you wanted God alone. And where spirit is wanted and welcomed, liberty is native. Now comes the quiet turning that makes all the rest sustainable, because if you remain the same person at the core while tinkering with pauses at the edge, the world mind will only find another doorway in. Identity must be unhooked. You must be in the stream of headlines without letting them define you, alarm you, or authorize you. That is not poetry. That is the sober stance of one who has passed through the shibboleth. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. If liberty is present, then the author of your seeing has changed. You are not the one being herded by the world's drum. You are the one who stands still and knows. Begin here very simply. This is not me. This is my phone. This is not me. This is my body. I am invisible life expressing. Say it softly, not as a boast, but as the truth that cuts the tether. The device is an instrument. The body is an instrument. The bank account, the ballot, the passport, these are instruments. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you that your essence is numbers or opinions or a flag's colors? The world mind whispers. You are your reach. You are your views. You are the sum of your clicks. And then it sells you fear as a diet. Refuse the diet. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. You are fed and identified at another level. Name the idols, the feed parades. Body, money, tribe. The body is made into a god to be worshipped or despised. Money is raised like a golden calf with the promise that safety is the god you can count. Tribe is painted with righteous colors until you forget that we are one in Christ Jesus. These are not your masters. They are claims within mesmerism, without law. How do we know they lack law? In the way that 2 times 2 cannot be 5 by any law in heaven or on earth. If a whole city chanted it at the top of their lungs, it still would not hold. Behind the marquee of panic stands only this: a mass belief, a windbag, a nothing that makes noise until you turns and says, quiet. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. When you stand in that, the claims unhook themselves. We must demystify the engine behind the scroll. Yesterday's hypnotism had a press office and called itself a ministry of information. It painted boys into heroes and enemies into monsters, and whole nations marched. You know the stories. In my early years, I read of those wartime bureaus that invented tales to keep the fervor hot. Later, we discovered subliminal frames in films designed to tug at the pocketbook and the appetite. Today, the names are different: algorithm, engagement, virality, but the trick is the same. Keep attention inflamed and then sell. Do not be fooled by the costume changes. Once you see that it is the same old nothing, you are free to use the instruments without bowing to them. The post is not a power. The power is in the consciousness that looks upon it. Now, some will hear this and suppose we are advocating a withdrawal, an indifference to the need of the world. No, we are not going to try to do anything to the feed. We are going to bring to it the realization of God's presence and then act from there. Fulfill your duties. Vote when voting is called for. Give when giving is asked of you. Help your neighbor with a bag of groceries or a ride to the doctor. Write a letter to your representative if that is yours to write. But do not give your inner allegiance to fear while you do it. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. Your inner government belongs to God. Works, yes, but not works born of scare. Faith without works is dead, but works born of presence are clean, and they do not leave you exhausted. And here you will notice the fruit. Courage appears, but without bluster. You speak up, but not to punish. You offer compassion, and somehow it does not drain you, because the bucket you are drawing from is not your adrenal glands. It is a well that does not run dry. You engage, you read, you answer, you vote, you show up at the PTA, you even hold the crying child and the crying city, but you do not become addicted to the tears. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. When peace is the atmosphere, action is no longer a grasp. It is a gift. Take a practical stance each time you lift the phone. Look at it as you would look at a hammer. Useful, but it does not tell you who you are. Say inwardly, this is not me. This is my phone. I am invisible life expressing. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Then see if the seeing is authorized. If not, lay it down one breath more. You must mean this. If you say, I seek presence, but you are secretly peeking to see if your side is winning, you are dividing the house and A house divided against itself shall not stand. No man can serve two masters. You cannot serve fear and spirit, addiction and liberty. Choose and then live inside the choice. Let me give you a little picture. A man wrote, call him Aaron. He is a paramedic in a big city, and the feeds he must watch are not theoretical. They describe what he will walk into in 6 minutes. He said that before this practice, he would rev himself into a foam between calls, scrolling dispatch chatter and speculation until he arrived wrung out. He tried the doorway. Each chime, he would say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. He would touch the screen and then place it face down on the dashboard, soften his jaw, and wait for 3 breaths. He told me the scenes did not change. The need did not change, but I arrived different. My hands were the same hands, but not the same atmosphere. That is unhooked identity. In it, but not of it. Governed from within, and therefore useful without being used up. Do not let your concern be for a new personality. Let your concern be that you feel that surging of the Spirit within you while you are still in appearance the same person, in the same home, on the same street, reading the same paper. The world may still shout names at you: consumer, constituent, patient, patriot, but you will know by the inner sign that you are none of those labels. You are the life by which labels are outlived. And when the world tries to conscript you with its urgency, you will hear another voice. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And that voice will authorize your speech and your silence. So take your place again in the stream of headlines. Do your errands. Pay your bills. Love your people. But carry your true passport. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Whisper it as you cross the threshold of your news, not to command the tide, but to remember the shore from which you stand. If you are moved to speak, speak from liberty. If you are moved to hold your peace, hold it from liberty. And when you catch yourself hooked again, do not scold, unhook, begin again. In it, but not of it. Invisible life, expressing through visible means, yet never surrendered to them. That is the identity that cannot be hypnotized. And in that identity, you will find quite naturally that the feed can no longer tell you who you are or what you must fear, because the authorization now comes from within. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Stand there and let the rest be added. Now we must look squarely into the hour of heat, because if this work will not carry you there, it is not worth the breath we give it. This is what I have called the 3rd degree. Not merely denying a symptom, not rearranging the furniture of the outer life, but facing the seeming power of catastrophe, the market falling off a cliff. The midnight test result landing in your inbox, the siren's red banner across your screen, and refusing it authority, not by bravado, not by pretending it is not there, but by resting in the one presence and letting that presence be government. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Do you see? Not because the valley has changed its shadow, but because the with me has been realized. We are not going to try to do anything to the valley. We are going to bring to it the realization of God's presence. And when we attain that, liberty will be found there, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Here is the sequence. Very simple, very exact. The alert arrives. The device shouts. The old training lunges. Do not lunge. Do not deny the fact. Deny its right to frighten you. Whisper the password softly as one opens the door to a familiar room. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Then sit, yes, in the very moment. If you are standing, feel your feet. If you are sitting, let the chair take your weight. If you are in a crowd, soften your gaze. Be still and know that I am God. Wait not to lengthen the crisis, but to feel that inner click, the small, unmistakable shift when panic loosens its jaw and peace becomes audible as the quiet compulsion not to rush. Sometimes it is a warmth in the chest, sometimes one long breath that seems to breathe you, sometimes it is only the sense that someone beside you is present. Wait for that. Do not count seconds. Count sincerity. When the click comes, even as a whisper, you are now authorized. From there, action clean, exact, and not your performance will present itself. It may be a call you must place, a boundary you must draw, a donation you must make, a bag you must pack, but it will arise from peace, and its fruit will be peace. Thou couldst have no power over me except it were given thee from above. No headline has power, no percentage drop, no lab value, no angry message, except what fear concedes to it. Reclaim authority in God by refusing fear its throne. Let presence decide your speech and your steps. If you cannot yet feel that decision, wait one more breath. Return to the password. Mean it. Walk with me through two cases because I want you to see how practical this is. The first, you unlock the phone and the market has fallen 12%. Accounts read everywhere. Commentators using words like rout and contagion. The body's training wants to refresh, to grab, to sell in a sweat, to text 5 friends with the brilliant take that will prove you saw it coming. Stop. Headline. Pause. Password. Sit. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Be still and know. Wait for the click. When it comes, do not imagine that spirituality means irresponsibility. If, from peace, it seems wise to place a call to your advisor, place it. If, from peace, you feel the clean nudge to do nothing today, do nothing. If you are given to adjust a plan quietly, do so. But notice the tone. You will speak without the tremor that transfers your fear into another human being. You will set a boundary with your own attention, perhaps an hour with no updates without feeling like you are derelict. You may even find, and do not be surprised, that in the very hour of your insecurity you are moved to generosity, a small gift to someone whose livelihood shakes far more than a paper account. That step will not be sentimental. It will be government returning to the shoulder where it belongs. The market has not earned your dread. It has only borrowed your consent. Withdraw consent. Give allegiance to presence. Act then as one who is governed. The second, a health scare. The message arrives. Something on a scan. A number out of range. The doctor would like to discuss. The old hypnosis will have you muttering symptoms into a search bar until 2 a.m, building a Tower of Babel out of hyperlinks. Do not build a tower. Do not deny the data. Deny its right to anoint you with terror. Speak the password. Sit. Even if you must, sit in a parking lot. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Be still until you can honestly say, I am not trying to get well in this breath. I am seeking presence alone. When the click comes, then call the office, make the appointment, ask your questions from peace. If you are moved to ask a friend to drive you, ask. If you are moved to rest, rest. If you are moved to drink water and go outside for 5 minutes, do so. But let every doing be the outflow of my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not the scramble of world peace trying to regain control. And if the path includes medicine or procedure, you can be in it, but not of its fright, because your identity has shifted from body as self to in God. This is not me. This is my body. I am invisible. You will walk into a clinic as a witness, not as a victim. That is the third degree. Now understand me and take this in its full weight. In neither case did we say the outer must change first. We did not promise that the market would rebound by noon or that the test would return benign. We said, do not let your concern be for result. Let your concern be for realization. Face the seeming power and say within, thou hast no law. You are 2 times 2 equals 5, written in large letters, frightening only while I grant you statute. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Not because we cast a charm at the weapon, but because we are dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, where the weapon cannot find our consent. If, while abiding there, you are given to move. If you are given to be silent, be silent. If you find, to your surprise, that the most practical step is to close the app, make tea, and wait for 10 minutes until the heat passes, do that. You are not evading duty. You are placing duty under rightful command. And if you miss it, if you discover you have already shouted, already sold in a sweat, already spent an hour in the cave of rumor, do not add condemnation to crisis. That, too, is the world mind holding court. Simply return. Begin again. Whisper the password. Sit. Wait for the click. Perfect love casteth out fear. Let love, not self-judgment, do the casting. Then pick up the next step as one who has been sent, not as one who must rescue the universe. In the heat, this must be lived, not admired. You must mean it. If you say, I am not trying to make this turn out. I am seeking presence alone, even here, even now. You have passed through the door that no man can shut. Then, and only then, are you authorized to speak, to write, to sign, to send, to sell, to buy, to rest, to rise. In that order. The world remains the world, but you are no longer its subject. Your speech and your steps are decided by presence. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, yes, even in the headline, even in the hospital, even in the bell of the market, there is liberty. Now, if you will watch without making a project of it, you will notice a small, almost secret mercy beginning to appear. The appetite for the compulsive scroll loosens. It is not a dramatic break. It is a quiet loss of taste. The same links are there, the same angles and alarms, but something in you is no longer hungry in that old way. Do not clap for yourself. Do not tell 3 friends you have conquered the feed. Do not make a doctrine out of your lighter thumb. Simply continue. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Not because the links have turned holy, but because you are not living in the same atmosphere. That is the proof we trust when the inner weather shifts and the outer choices follow without strain or vows. You still live, but not in the same air. Keep the sittings, at least morning and evening, and if you can steal noon, take noon too. Sit without agenda, and let the password usher you only far enough that you feel the first quickening. that little surge that says, I am not alone in here. Be still and know that I am God. Be still until the knowing begins, then be still a moment more. After a time, the word will have done its office. It will step back, and you will find yourself resting in a holy silence that says more than words can say. Do not force that. Do not be clever and throw away the word to prove you are advanced. Let it recede the way training wheels recede, by grace, not by display, until you realize that your day itself has become a prayer, that you are praying without ceasing, not by repeating syllables, but by breathing in an atmosphere of presence. While you are online, extend blessing. I mean actually, bless quietly, invisibly, without comment threads or cleverness. If a name appears, give it to God. If a picture of need appears, say within, Father, reveal thyself there, and then go back to the stillness in which that was said. If a quarrel rises, do not wade in as a referee. Lift the atmosphere above it by refusing to enter its hypnotism. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. Is not only for neighbors on the street, it is for neighbors on the screen. Peace, be still, can be spoken in you as surely as it was spoken to the sea. And when it is, you will discover that the need for winning fades. And in the fading, wisdom rises. We are not going to try to do anything to the stream. All we are going to do is bring to it the realization of God's presence. And when that presence is the climate, your next words, if there are words, will have another source, another tone, another authority. Come back again to the one point that holds all the points. You have only one demonstration to make only one, the realization of the presence of God. Do not let your concern be for better headlines, kinder comment sections, improved civic trends. Do not let your concern be for a neater calendar, an 8-hour sleep, or even for the satisfaction of feeling spiritually successful. Let your concern be that before you act or speak or share, you feel that surging of the Spirit within you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. All these things are shadows. Presence is substance. Give up gratitude for results. Give up gratitude for fewer notifications, for milder days, for friends who finally see it your way. Be grateful for God alone. If praise must cross your lips, let it be. Thank you for presence. Thank you for the felt assurance that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, whether or not the visible winds change. And you will see, not as a prize, but as a byproduct, that liberty becomes your air. You will pass through the day as one moves through a house filled with sunlight, not carried by your own candles, but by a light you did not kindle. The same errands, the same calls, the same reading, the same stretch of highway, yet you are strangely unhurried, unhooked, governed from within. The government shall be upon his shoulder. You do not need to stiffen your back or harden your jaw. You need only remember where you live now and refuse to be domiciled again in fear. A headline lifts its voice, and you feel the old spark seek tinder, and then quiet you remember, thou couldst have no power over me, except it were given thee from above, not defiance, recognition, and the spark dies for lack of fuel. Presence has become climate, and in that climate, liberty is not an achievement, it is native. This is the sealing, not a ceremony, but a constancy. If you fail, you begin again. If you succeed, you do not build a monument. The way is sealed by going on humbly, steadily, quietly. Keep the password at the threshold. Keep the silence at the center. Keep the blessing at the edges of your seeing. Keep your gratitude simple and clean, fastened to God alone. In other words, set your affection on things above, not on the weather of the feed. Then, and I say this with all the sobriety I can bring, then you will know what it means that you can be in it but not of it. In it for love's sake, not of it for liberty's. Let us close as we shall live still. Just for a moment, set the device aside, soften the jaw, let the shoulders fall an inch. Say within, softly, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, not for anything you have done to the world, but for what you are here. Rest there. Do not ask for a sign. Do not bargain for a kinder afternoon. Rest where you are, because where spirit is known, liberty is. Then rise and go about your ordinary hour. Answer what must be answered. Attend to what is yours to attend. Love those who stand in your path, and carry your true passport across every threshold. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Go back into the stream the way a tree drinks from the river, rooted, quiet, fruitful, like a tree planted by the rivers of water, not strained, not performative, but alive, in it, but not of it. Presence as your climate, and in that climate, liberty becomes the unforced atmosphere of your days. Thank you.